Okay, what we're going to do now, once we've got the two pieces of Sinamay on top of our head and glued, we're going to cut it and change it into something that looks a little bit more professional and has a better quality to the edging. When you take the Sinamay off, you've got to be very careful because the glue does attach to the cling film underneath, and when you're taking it off, sometimes it likes to fold back in itself, sometimes it can actually come apart a little bit. One of my students had to reattach hers last week, but once it's more secure, it'll be much easier for you to handle and work with. It doesn't look particularly pretty when we take it off because of all the raw edging, and we're going to use a folding action to hem it. Now when we do this, you have to think ahead about the size of the final piece that you're producing, because we have to cut the shape larger, probably by about a centimetre, 1.2 centimetres, to give you the double hemming on it. Think about again where in the head that you would like to have the headwear piece sitting. It's a wee bit predictable to have it sitting on the top, so having it at an angle somewhere around here. I would advise students to either use a pen or a pencil to mark the area on, whether it's an oval or a circular shape. I am just going to start cutting though. So when you're cutting, always make sure that you've got nice gliding action with your scissors. You don't want to be hacking away into the Sinamay because again it'll give you that raw, deconstructed edge. And all you need to do is think about a ½ centimetre space, and then very carefully with your 2 index fingers and your thumbs, you're pinching a small section at a time and moving it around slowly. This cannot be rushed. If you rush this, the likelihood is that you will end up with an edge that doesn't look well made.
Can you do it into the camera for me?
So it's just pinching and slowly moving around a little bit at a time. Okay. So I'll leave that one there because that does belong to one of my students, and I'll go back to the one that I actually had prepared for myself. So you can see on the underside that there is quite a rough edge around here, and if we're thinking about the wearability of this on somebody's head, it would be particularly scratchy and uncomfortable, and therefore for you to gain more marks in your units, you have to think about this. Therefore, folding it in again will ensure that the quality will be much, much better. And this becomes a little bit more tricky. You need to spend time in this. And already you can start to see that the shape of it and the size of it is getting a lot smaller than it originally started out at. Okay. Now if I had that done all the way around, what I want to start to think about doing now is attaching it. Again, wearability wise, if we had this on the head, it was maybe a slightly windy day, hair could get caught in this. And we need to make sure that we stitch it down with a needle and thread. Normally what I do is I have my thread doubled over just for adding security. And it's basically a running stitch that's looping up and over and around. You could use contrasting thread if you wished to the colour of the Sinamay. I think though at the age and the stage that we're working at, it's better to use a thread that's matching in, and it's a little bit more forgiving in case your stitch is not even. So all I'm doing is I'm coming up from the bottom, wrapping it around the outside and bringing the needle back up again. Probably leaving about 2 to 3 millimetres between each stitch. And as you can see, because of the way that the two pieces of Sinamay are sitting, it's a wee bit tricky. Now once you've got the whole part stitched, you could think about any kind of adornment that you want to put on around the edge of this. Some people like to use bias binding to finish it off to a better quality. I've got a little bit here. So all that is like a little bit of fabric that's been pre-machined, folded in itself. And if you actually folded that around the outside, over that edge, it would become quite nice and neat, a little bit more professional looking again. I haven't used it in any of the examples that I've done in the past. Again, it's up to you with what you decide to do for your unit. You could even think about folding the bias binding and getting maybe a plaiting look to it. And again, you'd need to make sure that you're going to be putting stitches into that every time that you put a little fold to keep it in place. What we'll do next time is I'll have some examples of Sinamay forms and attachments to put onto this to then build up a really fantastic structure on top.